to Breakfast Food, the weekly themed comedy podcast featuring silly stories and stupid anecdotes from me, Annabel Logan.
And me, Cara McKinley.
I tried not to look. I tried so hard to remember it. It didn't work.
This is like the 20th time that you've said it.
Oh no.
Oh, it's okay.
It shows how easily it's just in my short-term memory, and I've never ever bothered to learn it. So bad. I think you got the gist. I think you got the gist.
You said the correct name for the podcast. That's really all that matters.
Yeah. And our names, I guess. They're there too.
We got our names right. We got the name of the podcast. What else do you need?
I'm not God, okay? I'm doing everything I can to be amazing and perfect.
I've only got so much in my brain.
I really do.
We had one glorious week of recording in the same room. One wonderful no internet, no Zoom week, and now unfortunately we've had to go right back to Zoom. Crawling back.
No. It was so sad. It was like the start of something new and exciting. We were like, oh, this is how we're going to record now. We're going to like set it up like this. And now obviously we're all not allowed to mingle in households. So
yeah, I'm gutted. I really enjoyed last week. It honestly was my favourite podcast we've ever done, just because we were just hanging out.
I know. Oh, what can you do?
What can you do?
Literally nothing.
Need to follow the government guidelines. They're there for a reason. We literally spoke last week about like wearing masks and doing the right thing and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So if we have to distance again and not go to each other's houses, then that's just how it is. We'll get back to it at some point.
We will. we always, life finds a way.
As they all of us say.
As they all Jeff says.
Yeah, as Jeff says. How's your week been other than the new restrictions?
Good. It's been a good week. You kind of had gists of what I was up to because I was like frantic messaging and like, I'm so busy. It's been another busy old week at work, but I also had a very sociable, quite busy weekend, which is really unlike me.
Oh.
So I had to it sounds really bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is worse. It's actually lovely. But I was in St Andrews for a day.
Yeah.
Back to my old university haunt. And it was lovely. Just so we wander around. People were pretty good at keeping distance, and lots of people wearing masks outside, because I think there's that obvious reason, it's a really big student town.
Yeah.
So people were being pretty cool about it. And it was just a fun day out. And then to top all the excitement off, me and Christian, because we had hired a car, we still had time to go to IKEA.
Yeah.
Oh, the fun day out. I love it. It's one of my most I feel so relaxed.
I know what you mean. Hannah loves supermarkets for that same reason. She loves being in a supermarket. I don't know what it is really, but it makes her feel happy and relaxed. Although not right now. Right now supermarkets are kind of stressful, but I understand that. IKEA is wonderful. Did you partake in any restaurant food? Well, IKEA restaurant food.
We did not. Yeah, we did not. We actually went quite late. We arrived just before 7 at night.
Oh,
and yeah, I know. IKEA open till 8. Very exciting. And we just went around. We just kind of made a little. We just had a little wish list, and we just went for it. So we had a few things. It's really exciting. And then yesterday, my mum came down because, she couldn't come into my house, but we went for a meal, which is mental.
So dumb. Yeah, so dumb.
Honestly, there was we had a lovely meal. It was an early birthday meal. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks. So she popped down with my stepdad and we went to have something very delicious. And and then I've kind of just was recovering yesterday, kind of after the meal. So from maybe 3:30, 4 onwards, I was just I looked like a zombie. Honestly, socialness just drains me. Like, you can see it in my face. I look like I've gone through the Great Depression, and I'm like, and I'm sort of like gnarly, and like lines start appearing, and I get circles under my eyes, and it's just like my energy is just depleted and drained.
Yeah, jeez. I think it's hard. It's hard now as well because we've had so long to get used to not being social. Like, it used to be like, even if you were an introvert, for me anyway, it used to be like, well, I would still have to go to work every other day, which was social, and then if like social things happen on the weekend, I should really make time for that because like blah blah blah. But because recently it's just been like, don't see anyone, don't go outside, don't go anywhere, don't do anything. Now when I do see people, I'm like, I come home and I'm like, I've never been so happy to be inside.
Right. It's made us all slightly more introverted, which is saying something, because I'm already super introverted anyway. So yeah, so it was a good weekend. Like, it was lovely to see my mom and my stepdad, and nice to be out and do something different. But today is like my recovery day before work starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I have more social. I actually went to the zoo yesterday.
What?
I know.
I love it.
It's because Hannah's mum was meant to come down, or up, sorry. But she couldn't, obviously, because of the new rules, and she wouldn't be allowed in the house, and like, what else are we going to do? So, but we had the zoo booked, and we were like, right, we'll just go anyway, and we'll like sort of make this like our last hurrah, because for me and Hannah right now, basically because we're helping looking after one of our friend's dogs, and he has to be quite careful with like contamination and things just now, so we, for all intents and purposes, me and Hannah have gone back into lockdown, because it's just like, well, we can't really risk being out in restaurants and doing things like that. So yesterday was our last hurrah, and we went to the zoo, and it was so stressful.
Oh no.
It was like really lovely, like the animals, I love looking at animals, and there was so many wonderful, I had no idea that tapirs were so big. Have you ever seen a tapir?
Oh my
God.
I think I actually saw one at the zoo. So
it's probably the same guy. He's massive. I was like fully expecting, in my head, a tapir was like a little, like an anteater kind of size.
I know.
And then I saw him and I was like, it's just a panda with a long nose.
Yeah. It's like, no, pangolas. Is it pangola or an armadillo?
Pangolas are the ones with the big old claws.
Yeah, I think maybe armadillos. They're quite big. They're bigger than I always thought.
You are thinking about pangolas because I saw an armadillo and it was smaller than I thought.
Oh God, we have no reference for these things.
I know, honestly, there was so many times that we would see something, I'd be like, that's not that thing's size. What the hell?
This is the wrong zoo. This is all wrong.
Take this animal back. This isn't the right one.
It is faulty.
But no one was distancing.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever we did any like indoor, like going in to see the pandas or the koalas or whatever, people had to put masks on. But other than that, it was just like a free for all. And I was like, okay, I've seen enough. It's time to go home and stay home.
No, I do get that. It was similar actually in IKEA. It was pretty crazy actually. Anyway, we're here.
Yeah, it was still good. It was still enjoyable. The rest of the week has been, I think, pretty good, actually. Today, a wonderful, glorious thing happened. For breakfast, I was like, I'm going to have a bacon sandwich. But then there was only one extra bit of bacon in the packet past the amount needed for the sandwich. So I was like, I can't just keep one bit of bacon back.
Absolutely. So that would be so stupid.
An extra bit of bacon.
Yeah, that's amazing. It
was very good.
I've had biscuits for breakfast, so...
That's fair. Last week I had a tuna sandwich for breakfast.
That's right.
That's right. That leads me to a question, nothing to do with what we're talking about today, just something I was thinking about when I was making my sandwich. Everyone seems to have like the number of slices they put in their sandwich of bacon. Do you know what I mean? What's your number?
Ooh, so how big's the roll or the bread ratio?
So this morning, and most times because I can never be arsed going and getting specific rolls, it's just like a loaf of bread, like a Warburton's loaf of bread.
Awesome. I would say 3 pretty large pieces or 4 small pieces.
Yeah, fair enough.
For me, it has to have brown sauce on it.
No, well, I know I'm in the minority though, because so many people are like brown sauce or ketchup or whatever. I just like the taste of the bacon. You know what I mean? I just
You're
want to taste.
a Puritan.
I am, yeah. It's the same as like on burgers. I'm just like, give me a burger and cheese, but I'm here for the meat and I'm here for the cheese. I don't need your sauce.
That's cool. I'm this exact opposite. Sometimes I think I drown out any actual taste of what I'm eating with sauce. Like, I can't help it, especially if on the odd occasion I actually desire a salad. I just drown it in sort of salad dressing, or I'm upset. I love balsamic vinegar to the point where Christian, like, generally is like, you can't eat that in the same room as me when you're eating that because
Really?
it's so vinegary.
Oh my god, my friend in Tekapo, she said to me that how did I find this out? We went for a meal and I was like, do you mind if I ask for vinegar? Like, do you want any like vinegar? She was like, oh, I love vinegar. Yeah, let's get a bottle of vinegar over for the chips. And she was joking to me like, oh, you'd be like shocked at how much vinegar I can eat. Like, I drown my chips in vinegar. And I was like, oh yeah, me too. Like, I pour a lot of vinegar in it. She was like, no, you don't understand. So I asked for some vinegar. They didn't have any like table vinegar, so they bought us like a pot of vinegar from the kitchen.
Nice.
And she was like, just like, are we sharing just the one? And I was like, yeah, I guess so, but it's a pretty big pot. And she was like, okay. And then what she would do is she would take chips and leave them in the pot of vinegar to like soak, and then she would eat them when they had been soaking in the vinegar for long enough. She can drink it. And nasty. Oh my god, she can literally like when I was watching that, I was like, I've never met anyone who's told me that they can outdo me in vinegar and then genuinely do just completely blow all of my vinegar ratios out the water.
She was essentially just pickling chips. Like,
seriously, yes. Yes, and she said that like when she moved into the flat she was in, there was like a litre bottle of vinegar just like in the flat from someone who had lived there before, and she had like powered through it. Wow. Like, people, to the point where people are like, we can't have vinegar in the house anymore because you're gonna wreck your stomach. Yeah,
you just have like ulcers, or you'll just burn through your teeth.
Oh, Kirsty, if you're listening to this, get help.
Get help, Kirsty. Oh my. I had a really lovely thing happen to me this weekend where...
Oh, yeah?
Just something a little extra I remembered. I had a random email from someone who I don't know. I think he had got my email address from my website, and he was like, hey, I was in a film once with your dad, and he was like a little kid at the time, and he's like, I took lots of pictures, and he just had attached all these pictures of my dad, and it was so lovely because I just don't have any pictures of him. Like, I really don't. And they were just really candid, warm, relaxing. He was like around lots of kids, and it was so nice to see him around, like his expression around kids and how he took a real interest in them in the photos, because it really proved to me that that's what he was like with me. And it was just this really nice experience, and I was like, oh, so that made me feel very warm and happy inside.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna obviously get back to this guy and tell him thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Super random, but yeah, really cool.
You're always getting strange family things, like when you found your grand's painting, and like, you're always getting like grand's painting in a random house. Some guy had pictures with your dad.
Isn't it weird? It is. Yeah. It must just be, I don't know. It's lovely. I don't know why it happens, but
is nice.
It's great.
I actually, weirdly enough, my dad sent me a picture of my gran for the first time, his mum, for the first time. So it was like the first time I ever saw her.
Oh my gosh.
From when she was like a kid. He was like, oh, this is your gran with her siblings when she was like, I don't know, 10. And I was like, okay. It was really nice.
Wow. So you'd never met your gran before?
No, she died when my dad was 13, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
So I've never met her. But my dad says that she is where I get my singing voice from.
Oh,
because,
that's nice.
She used to be she used to sing. I don't know if she was ever a singer, but she used to sing.
Yeah.
And they used to go to church, and he said that so many people said that they stayed at that church because they were there to hear her sing.
That's lovely. Oh,
yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah, it must be strange. We're going to get very philosophical here, but like, I always think, you know, my mum always says that I look and have the mannerisms of my gran. And so it must be weird for parents to see that in their children.
Yeah. It must be. Although it must be nice as well because, like, obviously that's their parent, so it must be nice for them to have, like, us to see that their parent passed something on to, like, the further generations.
Absolutely, but
my dad's been looking back in our family tree, essentially because he wants to apply for Irish citizenship. His granddad, his whole family past his dad are all Irish. So fingers crossed, because if he gets it, then I can get it, and I can live in the EU again.
I was looking at things like this too a while back, because I have, like, old, like, relatives from, like, Portugal and, like, Italy, and I was like,
cool.
Could I do it? But I think, was it Italian one? That's right, I was, like, one generation out with the Italian. I could have maybe stretched, but I mean, to be fair, I have no knowledge of the language, and I've never even been to Italy, so it would be a bit weird.
I'm one generation out from for being Irish, essentially, like Irish citizenship, which is why if my dad got it, I could get it, but because it was his granddad, sorry, I don't know why I'm so phlegmy today. Just flaming all over the place. I'm one generation out, but if he gets it, but apparently they've backlogged, there's like 27,000 people waiting for their passports just now, so it may not happen for a minute, but my hopes are high that one day I can rejoin my beloved EU.
Yes. I know. Maybe we'll have independence by then, and we'll somehow...
Oh my god, it's been ramping up.
It has been, hasn't it?
I'm trying to, like, so I'm so disheartened with just, like, the whole system. Like, watching Trump completely rig this election. Like, watching Trump literally, like, close post boxes and decimate the US Postal Service and stuff like that. I don't trust voting. I don't trust that someone won't just come along and be like, oh, the numbers are actually this other thing and we won. You know what I mean? I don't trust it. And if I pay too much attention to it right now, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. So... I'm trying not to look at it too much. Thankfully, Hannah's happy to, like, keep on top of it. But then once it starts, I'm literally going to go and campaign. I'm going to go out. I'm going to... If I have to fucking register to be, like, a volunteer for the SNP, I will. Because I didn't do anything last time. I just... All my friends were going to vote for independence. So I figured it was, like, a sure thing, and then we didn't get it. So this year I'm not making up. This time I'm not going to make the mistake. I'm literally going to go out and flyer campaign. Yeah,
voting is so important and amazing. Christian's now been able to vote in the UK. He wasn't allowed to before, and there's just been something come through that he can, which is brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah, and
I do want to specify. I did vote. I just didn't do anything else last time. I did still vote.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But this is maybe something to rant about.
Sure. We're just like another one. We're like, this is a comedy podcast. And
this is a comedy podcast, but if you're not voting for independence, don't listen.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. I'm being serious. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, do our breakfast bugle first.
Let's go for it.
I'm aware that I forgot the bugle sound last week.
This is the most important bit.
I know. I'm not going to forget it this week. Breakfast bugle. There you go. It'll be there.
So I don't have one.
Okay, cool. Why? That you finally think of us every suggestion before we start the podcast. It's like, and instead you forget the bugle.
It's like I can't do both at once.
You really can't.
I've never been so stretched in my life. It's so stupid.
Oh, no.
Honestly.
It's okay. I can tell you mine. I'll tell you mine.
Please do.
Mine is kind of another rant, actually, but not as bad as the politics rant. It comes from an article I found that said, scientists say there are aliens hiding under the surface of Mars and we should dig for them.
Wow! Yes, I'm going to get my bucket and spade and off I go.
So I bring it up because recently I've been seeing so many articles about, like, UFO sightings and doomsday prophecies and blah, blah, blah. I think it's coming from, like, everyone's hyped up about Corona and the end of the world, essentially.
Basically.
So they're like, aliens are the only way. But I see so many of them that have this, like, mega clickbaity title, like, aliens hiding under the surface of Mars. You know what? The actual science behind it is that we believe there might be pockets of water under the surface of Mars.
Yeah.
Because we believe that there's there is ice on either side of on the Mars poles, and obviously where there's ice there's water, and there's what look like old riverbeds, so people think there might be pockets of water under the surface, and where water is there could be life. The only thing life actually needs is water. So that's the science behind it. It's not that there are like Martians camping out. And I know, sorry,
That's okay.
but yeah, I've been seeing so many of these like insane clickbaity, like Area 51 finds monster in a car or whatever. I don't know.
Oh man, did you hear? Was it which atmosphere or rings was it? Was it Neptune? There was somewhere which basically they found like organisms circling a planet or something that could. Oh man. That's going to really annoy me.
I don't know this one. I know most of the rings, because a lot of the rings are made of ice, or have ice in them. Saturn's rings are comprised of mainly like material and ice.
Sure.
And in fact, fun science fact for you.
Yeah.
One of Saturn's moons has been seen erupting, or essentially shooting out steam, which then obviously in space will become ice, which feeds back into Saturn's moons. And it's one of the only times that we've seen like a moon give back to its like mother planet.
Okay.
So it's one of the reasons Saturn has so much ice in it, because one of the moons is fully water or ice, and so when it gets pulled and pushed by Saturn, it heats up and it causes the ice to turn to water and break out and feed the rings again.
Whoa, yeah, so it's like a sustainable ecosystem
cool,
almost.
Yeah. And then that's another sort of theory of like, for all we know there could be life on that moon because the core of that moon is liquid water.
Yeah.
And that's all life needs.
That's so cool. I love how we get onto space topics quite frequently.
I love space, as you can see in my many tattoos.
Yeah.
I'm a big old space nerd. I love my tattoos. I want more. I always want more. The thing is, we have tattoo needles and ink here, and Hannah knows how to hand poke tattoos. We just haven't got around to it yet. But I'm like, I'm counting down the days until I'm just like, okay, here we go. Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Take a deep breath. Go. I've never had a hand poke one.
I've got 2 hand poke tattoos. The one on my shoulder, the like koi fish one, is hand poked, nice. And then I've got some lettering on my arm that's hand poked, which actually is another space tattoo. But I slightly regret that one because any text invites people to be like, "What does that mean?" And I just don't want to have the conversation with people.
I know. I have one on my back. My first tattoo was a piece of writing, and it's like says poesis, and it's like really like. Oh my God, because I was like, I was just like in uni, I think I'd just turned 18 and I was studying like classical studies and I was like, you know what I'll do? I'm going to get like an ancient Greek word on my back because it's like really deep. But I don't speak ancient Greek or Latin. So this was the one word I learned. It's poesis and it's meaning sort of, oh God, I can't remember. It's like finding inspiration from nothing. It's basically like, it's the kind of what you'd say what creativity was. It's like the muses have granted you with this like vision and now you can sort of work it on earth and be like, the muses told me to do this. It's so wanky. So I have that on my back. It's so small though, like luckily
just like a whisper of poesis.
It's like, poesis.
Everyone's like, what? What's that say?
Like, never mind.
Yeah. Don't ask me again. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I didn't know you had that one. I think I only know of like 1 or 2 of your tattoos. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I've got one that I've combined into one now, so I'll just count that as one. So like I've got 5 now, and that's probably good for me.
I have 13.
Oh damn.
I know. And I anticipate having loads more. But not in the near future, unfortunately. Sometime in the far-flung future. But also, it's probably a good idea because the last tattoo I got was literally like a "this'll be funny" tattoo, like me being like, haha, this will be funny, and then getting it, and then now I'm like, and then as soon as I got it, I was like, I need more this will be funny tattoos, and then I realised now that I'm like, thank God I had to take a step back, because otherwise I would have been covered in random shit by now.
Yeah.
And it just would have
like, this was lol.
Yeah, it would have been like, honestly, it would have been the worst, because people would be like, why did you get that? And I'd be like, I don't know. Literally, my this will be funny tattoo is I have I actually really like it, but it's a like really low res tombstone on my ankle, and the tombstone says lol sick.
I love that.
I saw it on a flash sheet for like a charity day, and my friend was like wanting to get this other tombstone tattoo, and I was like, haha, let's get matching tombstones.
Lol.
And I saw that one, and I was like, I want that one. I actually love it. I'm so glad I have it, but it definitely would have led to a lot of ill-advised choices if I hadn't taken a break of tattoos.
Oh, I love looking at like all those sort of pages of like bad tattoos.
Yes.
They're the best.
They're so
good. We should post a few of them. Yeah, that's a fun evening spent.
Recently, something that we've been looking at a lot. I spoke about reportable content the other week, of just like finding like those like craft hack videos with Hannah. But recently we found a Reddit page called DIY, but why like WHY.
Got it.
And it's all just like people being like, look at this thing I made, and it's like the most horrendous thing you've ever seen. There was one today. What was it? It was like a subwoofer alarm clock, like the actual like part of the speaker, and then just like lights around it, and it was like, it's a clock, and it was like, why is that a clock? Why have you made that into a clock? Or someone had attached a lamp, like attached a light bulb to the end of a bong, and was like, it's a bong lamp.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I guess so. I mean, it doesn't function as either of those things anymore, but cool.
I know, that's a really good point. Oh well. Well done. I wonder how many of these were actually conceived very high. Probably
some of them, yeah. There was one that was like, I love the ones where they make a video. They make one of those videos like, you can do this at home, and then it's just the worst thing you've ever seen. And there was one of this guy who got a bunch of taped a bunch of empty like liter bottles together, and then was like, it's a laundry basket. And it was like, how and why is that a laundry? It would be cheaper rather than buying all those drinks to then drink and use the bottles. It'd be cheaper to just buy a laundry basket.
That would make me sort of sad every time I looked at it. It would make me not want to do my washing.
Why would you want that in your house? It's like, there's another page, I think it's called Male Living Spaces. Not saying that all men live like this, but blah 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 blah, disclaimer.
Yeah, blah, blah.
And it was essentially like living spaces that people have come across that like a guy has lived in, and you're like, why do you live like this? And there was one that it was like a fully empty room with a TV propped up against the wall and one lawn chair.
Oh no.
And it was like, you know for a fact that woman does not live there. That is a man's house.
Honestly, like this, it makes me feel sad just thinking of that. I'm like, I couldn't live in this sadness. It's too much.
The wonderful thing was, I saw someone posted it being like, oh my god, men really be out here living like this. And then a guy underneath was like, women are just so angry at how little it takes to make us happy. And I was like, shut up. That's not the reason that this man sits in a lawn chair. Yeah, whatever. Dude. Dude. Yeah, no, I'm getting more, the older I get, the more I'm into like just lovely things, and how like, you know, there's a nice point I think when you hit your 30s where you really start to like take on board that whole quality over quantity thing. I'm getting there for sure. For sure. Like we've got quite a lot of things from IKEA in the house. The like shelving we have is all IKEA and stuff like that, but like with certain things like the couch Hannah already had and clearly like invested some money into to get, and things like that. And there's just like, and I'm not saying that IKEA is bad. We genuinely have loads of things from IKEA. But like, it's when you go out of your way to find something just a little bit like more costly. Yeah. And it's like maybe one thing in a room. like my desk that we're at just now was slightly more costly, and it just makes the room feel just like a little bit more, and Hannah's desk as well, they're just a bit more sturdy, they just feel a bit more like we took time to get them. And I'm starting to see that around the house. Little things around the house are starting to really make it feel like we've put effort into it. One of the main things being everything we hang up now has a frame.
That is a good one.
You know what I mean?
That makes the house so much nicer.
Oh my God. Like,
yeah.
It can be literally a poster in a frame, and it looks so much better. I'm in my last few places that I lived, I had this one wall, because when I was travelling around a lot, obviously I couldn't carry anything heavy. So I just brought a lot of like pictures and stuff with me, and I used to just like stick them up on the wall all in a big old thing together, and it was like really nice, and like had loads of stuff from different people and things. And then I moved into this house, and I was like, I no longer want to just stick things up on the wall. Like now I need frames.
Yeah, I know. I've got some classy frames now. My mum and my stepdad bought me a beautiful potted plant. And it's really cute. It's like an offshoot from a plant that my stepdad has had for like years and years and years and years.
Oh, that's nice.
And he's like bestowed it to me, and they've given me this lovely like pot thing to put it in. And I'm like, oh, I feel so grown up.
Yeah. We have so many. We've got like, I would say we have something in the region of 30 to 40 plants in this house.
Yeah. I remember we were mentioning that last time. You've got like an overflow of spider plants.
Yeah, if anyone wants any. But since then, some of the bigger plants that have just been kind of like hanging out on things and stuff in like their little plastic pots have now got nice like ceramic pots, and it feels so nice to look at them. It's so much better.
Wow.
I know.
I love it. We're just going off with plants.
What an interesting. So, shall we go on to our weekly waffle then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Weekly waffle.
We have
Skewl
Tripz.
Skewl Tripz.
Skewl Tripz. I have I have 2 stories lined up, but you said you had a question for me, did you?
I do. It's sort of like, yeah, it's, I'll hit you with it just now, because it might like, I don't know, why not? It's along the lines of school trips. It's basically if you were going to go on a school trip now, like in your adult mind, is there somewhere you would just desperately want to go? Like it's like if you were like looking back as like being a kid, is there somewhere like you're like, oh man, I wish this had been a school trip for me?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I think about the school trips I had, and we'd had one in my early high school years, in like first year. We went to Barcelona.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was because it was an art trip, and I just happened to be lucky enough to be one of the kids that went. It was like a very small amount of us, and like we went to Barcelona, we went to all these cool places, and we went to this theme park, and that was all really cool. But I think my favourite school trips were like the ones where you went to like the Lake District and slept in a hostel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those ones where it was like the stuff you did was like you went out on raft, like kayaking, or you went on a big cycle trip and then you rolled down a hill for like 3 hours. And I really loved those ones. My favourite memories are the ones that were they were just like, here's a field, go nuts for a day. And you were like, yeah.
That sounds like all my school trips. Like we didn't go on any. We hadn't, for some reason, in high school, I never went on like any major school trips. We didn't go anywhere exciting. But in primary school, we went on some amazingly shit school trips that were so bad. They were the best.
That's the best thing about them.
So, do you want to hear mine first, or shall I go?
Yeah, you tell me.
Okay, here's just a random selection of what I did in primary school. Okay, so one school trip, we visited a graveyard. That was all we did.
That's amazing. Wait, did you stay over, or was it just like you just went out for the day?
We just went out for a day, and I think the whole point of it is we were learning something about history, and we were having to take like rubbings of like graves. You know?
Oh my!
So it was pretty morbid, and we just wandered through this like huge graveyard in Inverness.
Wow.
And another good trip. that I was very smug. We went to Eden Court, the theatre in Inverness, and you know, as a pro, I had been, you know, doing shows at Eden Court for years before then, so I knew it very well.
Like the back of your hand.
Exactly, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, where's this?" I don't know why everyone sounded like that, but they did, and I was able to tell people exactly what things were, what they did, and I was very proud of myself. And I think we got to play with a smoke machine, which was always fun.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. And then another one I really remember, we went to, it sounds a bit random, but it was like a blind, like, craft place.
Okay.
Right? And it was like a craft space where people that were blind or partially blind could make things, and then they would sell them on. So we went as like, you know, small children, and we're just like, what is this? It was really interesting. Like, we just got to sort of see kind of what they made. And I think there was like an educational room where you could do things like put on a pair of glasses to see what it's like only being partially sighted or totally blind, which was quite interesting. But I just remember it being quite a random place as well. I don't know where the topic came that we should go visit.
That reminds me that we one time went in primary school to a glass blowing place.
Oh yeah, they're very
like,
primary school trips. Yeah,
to like watch glass blowers. I loved it. It made me. I was like, I'm going to be a glass blower. I remember I was fully like, this is it. This is so beautiful. This is so cool. I'm going to be a glass blower. And then I realized that you cannot afford to run a glass blowing or like even learn glass blowing unless you're rich. So I was like, well, actually, never mind. It's so expensive. I've done it once.
Really? You did glass blowing once? Wow.
As a Christmas present, I got taken to make my own like Christmas bauble for the tree.
Oh, cute.
It was so cool. But the woman was like, someone was like, oh, is this like your thing? Is this what you do? And she was like, no. She was like, I'm actually an artist. Like, I make installations and things. She was like, but it's so expensive to keep a glass blowing place like running that I need to teach as well to keep it going. And I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, this is not a career path, probably.
Yeah.
It does look beautiful though.
Oh, it's so amazing. It's way harder than I thought. Like the actual material, like see when you look at glass and people doing glass blowing, it looks really malleable. It looks like you can just squish it and squish it. It's still really tough to squish.
Yeah, okay. Like, so it would shatter really quickly as well.
It's not even that it would shatter. It's like trying to like, you just have to apply loads of pressure. And like, obviously for a bauble, you have to like blow down the tube to put air into it. Oh, it was like blowing my cheeks out. It hurt so much. It was really fun. That wasn't a class trip though. That was inspired by a class trip. But
I feel we might have done that or seen something. Or we went to like a place which was like yieldy timey, and we watched like people make, I don't know, things with steel. I don't remember. I think I saw someone make horseshoes. I feel like this was a thing. Yeah, and it involved a big fire. It was very hot. Big memory.
I love watching anything to do with like metalwork or anything like that. It's like forbidden candy. Like whenever I see them squish a big bit of metal, I'm like, I just want to eat it so bad.
Yeah, when like I love those videos, should I say, where they have the hydraulic press. Yes.
Oh my god, hydraulic press videos are my lifeblood.
Oh my god, I saw the grossest video the other day. It made me feel quite sick, but it was also very satisfying. Someone along those lines, similar visuals, they put whipped cream in a croc shoe, and then they just stuck their foot in, and it was like
yeah, so weird. So weird. I know exactly what you're talking. I've seen the video. So weird. Me and Hannah keep stumbling across this person who makes videos. They're like this. It's basically the same video every time, and we have yet to figure out what the fuck is going on in these videos.
Okay.
It's like, so essentially, I don't know if they're trying to show off a shoe, like a trainer, but what they do is they like with their bare foot they squash this like packet, this foot shaped packet. They squash it and like a bunch of cream comes out. Then they like put their foot in this machine that puts like a half sock on them. Then they put like another thing on their foot. Then their foot goes into a shoe. And then the camera changes and there's like a few shoes and they kick one of the shoes out of the way and they put their foot down where the shoe was. with the new shoe on. And that's the video, but we've seen it a couple of times. And I don't know what's going on.
Oh, weird. I mean, someone is into that somewhere and they get a real kick from it.
But it's so specific. One time there was a crab and it was just in the shot and it was just there. What? They didn't do anything to it. They didn't touch it. It just was in the shot and the guy was just like, time to do my weird foot thing again.
It sounds like you've watched it in a dream, you know?
It does,
it's got that
it?
Vibe. You're like, what's happening here? I don't know.
It's the weird... I don't know why anyone made it, and I don't know why he continues to make it, because I've for sure seen a couple different ones.
What?
But anyway...
my school trips are just like really vague like this, and I think we went to Culloden Battlefield once, and that is just a big field. So going back to your school trips, we did generally just walk around a field.
Yeah, there was one time in primary 7 where we went to, it might have been the Lake District, it might have been somewhere else, it was somewhere like that where you went and did like fun, you know that like classic activity where it's like, here's some stuff, you need to make a boat out of it.
Yeah.
Does the boat sink? We'll see. It was one of those trips, and I remember we were all doing like a cycle, which was so dangerous with so many kids just like piled together on these bikes. And I remember the guy leading the cycle, someone was like, it smells bad here, because it smelled like cow shit, and he was like, take a deep breath, it's good for you, and everyone was like, ew. I remember that. But the thing that's like properly sticks out to me from that school trip was we were in a dorm room of 8 people. It was like 8 girls from the year, and one of the girls decided to pretend to be possessed for like the whole night. It was horrible. It was the worst. It was like all of us were in bunk beds, and there was like a sort of walled partition for like half the room between 4 bunk beds, or 2 bunk beds and the other 2 bunk beds, and she would like pop up over the partition and like throw things. She like one of the girls fell asleep in a sleeping bag. I don't know why, but she brought a sleeping bag. She was in a sleeping bag on the bed. And she came along and like grabbed her by the feet and dragged her out of the bed. This girl's name was Nikki, and she was like in this like white dressing gown, and like you wouldn't know where she was because it was dark in the room. It was dark in the room, and then all of a sudden she would just like appear at this big window, and you're just like, Nikki, no! It was the weirdest, scariest night. At one point the curtains fell down. Oh my god.
Well, she seems like real fun.
It was so weird, and like obviously everybody was like stressed out, and like some people were playing along to begin with, and everyone was just like mega stressed. I ended up like, I think there was like 3 of us in one single bed by the end of the night, because we're all just like, don't get me, Nikki.
That's crazy. We were for a while in primary school. We would, on a rainy day, a group of us thought we could commune with spirits by flipping a 2p coin. We would only ask yes or no questions, and I think heads was yes, tails was no. And this is all we do, and we would freak each other out so bad. And I think one time a book fell off the shelf, and we were like, nah!
Oh, shit.
Could have been someone. I don't know. Love that.
Hannah, when she was in primary school, was in a coven.
What? That's cool.
Yeah. Her and some of her friends were in a witch's coven, and they would like do spells and seances and stuff.
Oh my god, I'm so jealous. I wish I was always super into these things, and there was a magazine I used to read which had like Wiccan spells, like love spells, and I was like, this is my life, this is where I want to be. So bad.
This is who I want to be when I grow up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. I'm glad she committed to it and went full on coven.
She has like talisman tattoo. Well, tattoos that like act as like talismans for her. She's got like chronic knee pain on one of her knees, so she's got a right angle tattooed on the side of her knee to like help make it bend better and stuff. It's just super nice.
So cool.
I know.
I've remembered a really, really very important part of my school trips.
Yes.
So usually if you had to get on a school trip, you had to travel on a bus, right?
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, keep going. Maybe I might have the same experience.
You know how good I am with buses, right?
Yes, I'm aware.
My best pukey school trip story.
Pukey bus trip.
Pukey bus trip. It's like Peaky Blinders. But I was like sitting in the front of the bus because I would always try and sit in the back of the bus and be cool, but I couldn't hack it. I couldn't hack it. So I had to move right to the front where the teachers were. Yep. And I would get really, really sick, and probably more often than not, I would be sick. And then there was one teacher who like gave me a bag to puke in. Very kind, very nice of him. Lifted up the bag to the whole bus and was like, it's fine, she's fine now, not realizing that the plastic bag had holes in the bottom.
No!
And my puke was just spouting.
Oh my god.
And the whole school was like, ew.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
And
First of all, why would they do that anyway? Like, even if the bag didn't spout puke everywhere, like, why would you hold up a bag of puke and be like, here's her puke, don't worry, kids.
All's well.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, so never forget that.
That is, oh my god. Oh my god. No,
what was your pukey bus trip story?
My pukey bus trip story was every time we got on the bus, one of my favourite teachers, Mrs. Swircott, who's now not called Mrs. Swircott anymore, but I can't remember her maiden name, so I'm just going to keep saying Mrs. Swircott. She would get on the bus and she'd be like, right, who gets travel sick? And you'd put your hand up and she'd come down and she'd give everyone a black bin bag to sit on.
Oh, I think we did that too. Yeah.
Apparently it's like if you like slide around with the bus, you'll feel less sick.
Oh, I just thought they were doing that to stop us from puking on the bus seat.
Well, oh shit, maybe. She always told us that it was like if the bus is moving and you're not moving, that's why your brain gets all disorientated. It makes you feel really sick. Whereas if the bus is moving and you're sitting on something slidey and you move with the bus, your brain won't get so disorientated.
Well, that makes sense. I think I did something similar. I think I sat on... Actually, it can't have been that good. I was sitting on newspaper, which probably didn't allow you to slide.
That for sure just feels like don't puke on the bus seat.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, no, I'm trying to think whether I ever actually did puke on a school bus trip. I don't think I did. I think I was very lucky.
That's really good. I used to go on a lot of gymnastic trips.
Yes.
To competitions, and that was also danger zone too. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
I had to get the bus to school every day though. Well, sometimes when I got older I walked. When I was younger I'd get the bus to school every day. So I had to get used to the bus pretty quick, because otherwise I would have literally been throwing up every day on the way to school and back.
Great way to start the day. And
wonderful. Yeah. There was one time that I got to school and immediately just walked to my grand's house because I felt sick. And,
oh man!
I was like, well, actually, it wasn't. At the end of it, it wasn't sick. I had a urine infection, but I didn't know what urine infections were at the time.
Yeah.
So all I knew was like, I need to pee all the time, but it hurts if I do. Was essentially the whole thing.
That's horrible.
And I was like on the bus, and I was like, I'm gonna piss myself, but also it really hurts. And then I was like, my reasoning was like, if I go to the nurse right now, at the beginning of the day, she won't believe me. Like, she'll be like, why did you come in at all? And she won't send me home, and I kind of need to go home. I was like, okay, I'll just go to my grand's, because my gran lived really nearby. So I just got off the bus and walked straight to my grand's, but then my gran wasn't in. And I was like banging on the door crying, because at this point I was like, I'm going to pee myself.
Oh, God.
And I was like banging on the door and crying, and thankfully the across the way neighbour who we knew, that day, her back door key had bent in the lock. So she was at home waiting for the locksmiths to come to change the lock out, and she heard me crying and brought me in and called my dad.
Oh, that's good. That's a horrible feeling though, when the people that you put your most faith in as well aren't there for you, and you're
my gran felt so bad because we called her when we called her, and it was we still had the answering machine when I called her, because my dad was like, you should let her know, because the across the way neighbour is going to be like, your granddaughter was screaming and crying.
Yeah.
So I called her and I was like, hey, just to let you know, I came to your house, but you weren't there for me. And that's fine.
You failed as a grandma. Sorry,
you weren't there for me, my roommate. I suppose Morrison's is more important than I am. Anyway, bye, Gran. Love you. See you on Friday.
Man. See, before mobile phones, like
I know.
This was the hellscape that was pre-mobile.
I know. Thank God I knew my house. Number one, thank God I knew my house number off by heart.
Yeah.
And number two, for whatever reason, thank God my dad was home. Like, he works back shift, so he... Oh, right, that's what it is. He works back shift, so he would have, like, been going to work soon. Is how it would have been.
Okay.
I must have caught him just before he was going to work, and he came and picked me up, and it got, like, an emergency hospital appointment for me. But by the time I had to get to the hospital, it had, like, passed, the infection was gone. So I was just like, can I go outside on my skateboard? And he was like, yeah, I guess.
Bye.
Yeah,
no, they're the worst, though.
I know.
I've had them, and I've also had a kidney infection, which was a million times the worst.
Yeah, oh my God.
It was like major urinary infection. Oh my God, I've never felt such pain.
That must be horrible. I used to get urinary infections quite a bit when I was a kid because I hardly drank any water. Like when I was in school, they had to fully, like, teachers would check in on me after a while and be like, how much of your bottle of water have you drunk? Because when I was in school, I just didn't drink. I was like, I'll be fine. And my body was like, please, we're dying.
Oh God. It's like not even like your brain is functioning with your body to be like, we should drink water. Yeah, that's really sensible.
I was never thirsty. I was just like, as I pick up my current bottle of water from fear.
I'm now going to drink some water in solidarity.
Yeah, it's important. Hey, hydration's important. But my other school trip story is another one that's kind of to do with not urine but that whole area, and it's so embarrassing. Thankfully I'm past it now. Thankfully I'm older now, and I'm like whatever. But at the time, like, I think at the time, even in the moment, I recognised that would probably be the most embarrassing thing that would ever happen to me.
Oh my God.
Ever. It was so much. So this was when we went to Barcelona.
Okay.
And we actually must have been in second year because I would have been a little bit older than first year at this point. And essentially, I was quite late to getting my period.
Okay.
So by the time we went to Barcelona, I was quite new to having it. I wasn't used to it at this point. And we were in Barcelona, and on the first night, they were like, let's just take the kids to the beach. Like, they'll enjoy it. It'll be fun. So I went to the beach, and I was wearing, I don't even know how to explain the material. It was like white, 3/4 length, like, cargo trousers. But the material was like, if I had been wearing coloured underwear, you'd see the underwear through the material. Do you know what I mean?
It's like linen almost. That kind of
but like vibe. a bit more polystyrene-y, but yeah. Like, not wonderful material, but like loads of my summer clothes used to be made out of it for some reason. So I was wearing that, and we were at the beach, and I think I hadn't started my period yet, but it was like on its way. But obviously, as a child, you're like, whatever, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I had gone into the water and was playing around in the water, and then we were playing like games on the beach, and we'd been there for hours, and it got to a point where like people were kind of avoiding me, like people were being a bit weird with me, and I was like, whatever, like, I don't know, whatever. Oh, and then as we were leaving, I was like wiping the sand off my feet with my jumper, which I'd tied around my waist, and I looked at the jumper, and the jumper had blood on it, and I was like, oh my God, like I've cut my foot. So I was looking at my feet, and then one of the girls was like, Cara, it's not your foot. And I was like, what? And then I clicked. I'd been sitting on the jumper, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh no. And then like literally it was like the moment of realization when I turned around and saw that like everybody was so awkward because everybody had clearly noticed it, and it was the first day of a week-long holiday. The first day. Oh my God.
That is hard for like young teenage, like still girls, like it's really hard. It's like oh my. It
was so, I mean, thankfully, the people that were there, thankfully, just like, I'm sure they didn't forget about it, but they didn't bring it up to me again. Like, we had the walk back to the hotel, and I was like walking away from, like, far away from everybody because I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, I want to die. And then, because I hadn't even seen the sort of the aftermath of it, and then I got home and looked, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
And like, I like literally just chucked those out because I was like, well, can't wear them again. And so I was like down a pair of trousers. I mean, as a child, you don't bring that many pairs of trousers on a holiday, but anyway, yeah, it was a whole big thing. And then, but thankfully, for the rest of the holiday, I don't remember anyone bringing it up at all with me.
That's
but
really
it stuck
awesome.
with me.
Like people, especially that age group, to not latch onto something like that and use it. That's like respect. Thanks, kids. Yeah,
I felt very lucky, and now looking back at it, even more lucky, because the trauma of having something people could use against you as a teenager in high school is... me and Hannah saw this video, well, Hannah tweeted this video and I saw it this morning, of this girl who is in her high school like hallway, and she's doing a choreographed dance from like this a song, like a K-pop song. She does the dance all the way through in this hallway, and loads of people are watching her. And I was like, this girl is so brave. Like what Hannah captioned it, like, this girl is braver than any soldier that ever has been. Because like I was watching, I couldn't even watch the whole video. I was so proud of her, but I couldn't finish the video because I was like, I feel so awkward, and I'm just like, she's so brave, because for the rest of time these people are going to be shit to her about this. Like,
I know, but she's like following... I mean, this is another thing that I'm so glad we came through school without like mass mobile phones when everyone was putting things up on the internet. You know, I teenager self was so hard anyway, but to have that public and for that to go up on, you know, whatever forever. You're like...
Thankfully, I believe the girl that posted it must have been her friend, because she was in front filming her, and they were like going through the, you know what I mean? But there was like, Hannah had to tell me this, because again I couldn't finish the video just from like secondhand like war flashbacks, but she said that like there are these girls in the background that are like making fun of her like as she's doing it, that are like copying the dance routines but like really badly, like to obviously to be like, haha, look at her, but like she's doing it anyway, she's still going. She does the whole routine. There's like a bit where she has to go on the floor and do like body rolls, and she does it, and just like, I wish I was strong enough to watch the whole video. I'm very glad that Hannah watched the whole video to tell me how great this girl is. But yeah, I watched a bit of it and I was like, I love you so much for this. I will never be as brave as you are.
It's like, I think it's to be so... Right, looking back, I'm like, this is like celebrate. It should be so celebrated, because the kids that do like that really just try and break the mold and just do what they want to do anyway is just fantastic. And I would always encourage, if I ever had a child, like if they were into whatever, to encourage them to do it and to not, you know, it's easy to say don't worry about what people think, but
totally.
But at the end of the day, when you become an adult, you'll be a much better, stronger, wonderful, braver adult, probably. You know,
the advice I always give, not that I typically speak to children, I don't really have any children in my life, but if there are any high schoolers listening for whatever reason, the advice I always give is you'll find your people when you get out of high school. Like when you leave high school and you go to uni, or you just go out into the world, you'll find your people. Even if you're like in high school and you like something that no one else likes, or you do something that no one else does, or people don't like you very much or whatever, like for your hobbies or whatever, you will leave high school and find out that there's like way more people and loads of people who do like the thing that you like just get through high school and then it'll be okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the world is a wonderful, big, diverse place, and you will find your tribe always.
Yeah. But it might not happen until you leave high school.
It probably won't, because you're cooler.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, just thinking about high school.
You're like...
it feels so weird. Did you have any more school...
Do you know what? School trips.
School trips.
That is like, for me, that's what I remember from my school trips, is like being like a Highlander. We would go to like all these kind of like very rough and tumble, like we go to Landmark. If anyone's been to Landmark, it's amazing.
I've never been. What's that?
Oh my god, it's like a whole like adventure. It's like an outdoor kind of nature, like conservation place, but
Ooh.
you've got like treetop trails, so you can go around and see
like Go Ape.
Yeah, it's got a Go Ape vibe to it, but there's like play bits, but there's also like stuff you can see and do, and like how to like conserve things, and you can see lots of red squirrels, which is lovely. Yay! And they have they did have this like beautiful big horse, and he would just come out, like I think they got him out twice a day, and he would show how they used to plough the land back in the days
Cool.
of horses. But yeah, it's
back in the days when horses ran free.
Yeah. So if anyone's around Aviemore and restrictions are eased, I probably this open is fine, but go to Landmark. I love it.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish we'd gone there.
It's pretty cool. And there's like a water slide and everything. It's really
What?
Mm-hmm.
A water slide in Scotland?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's epic.
I remember
that's really mine.
The only other story I have from Barcelona was there was like other school groups there at the same time as us, obviously, and there was like one school group from Spain, and at this point I was like desperately at this point it was clear to everyone that I was gay.
Sure.
But I was still desperately trying to cling on to not being, like I was desperately like no I'm super not, I'm like I love
Charlie
beards
for Busted.
yeah, Charlie, he's cool. And I was the only person on that whole trip that kissed a boy from another school.
What?
I know. And then literally came home and was like, I'm gay! Like, not long after.
I can't do this anymore.
I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
oh no.
He was like on my MSN for ages.
Yeah.
He was always like, hello. And I was like, no.
No. I was like, what's Spanish for no? Oh no. I'm only in German. Yeah.
He was like, I think he was actually a fair chunk older than me. He was like the drummer in a band, and he had long hair, and he kind of looked like a girl. And I was like, I guess this is the closest I'll get.
If I squint my eyes.
Yes. If I squint my eyes and I breathe through my mouth so that I don't smell his teen boy smell.
Oh God. I'll never forget that. Lots of links. Links Africa. Anyway.
I feel like all teens smell bad though. I don't think it's just the boys. I think all of them smell bad because early teenage years is when you're figuring out that actually you're not just bathing for fun anymore. You need to do it because you smell.
You can't have all your toys in the bath all the time.
You can't wash yourself with the bubbles anymore. You have to wash yourself with soap.
Yeah, we just have a leisurely soak with like
that's how I used to do it when I was a kid.
I did too.
I'd be like, let's have a bubble. If we're gonna do this, let's do it with bubbles and toys, and like your mum would come and wash your hair, and that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
But then, I got to a point where it was like, Cara, no, you have to use soap and shampoo and like actual human stuff.
Oh.
Fine.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
That's all mine.
That's all mine.
That's everything I can unearth currently.
Me
I'm
too.
sure that there are more stories lingering in the back of my mind about Skewl Tripz. But when we talked about this being our thing this week, I got so obsessed with the period story that I was having a hard time like looking past it.
Fair enough. No, that's a like life-changing experience. That's like a real thing. Wow. Yeah. Do you have serving suggestion?
I want to hear your one since you finally have brought one.
Yes, I have. Oh God. I really spent time just thinking about it this week and like not just having zero idea and having nothing to do. So this is a recommendation. Mm-hmm. And it is this amazing book that my therapist told me about. Mm-hmm. And it's for anyone. It's basically if you have like the best sex life or you don't or whatever, or you're like worried about things, this book is it's so enlightening. It's called Come As You Are by Dr. Emily Nagoski. Mm-hmm. And I'll read you the kind of quick summary of what it is. So, bear with me. It says, after all the books that have been written about sex, all the blogs and TV shows and radio Q&As, all those radio Q&As.
Yeah, all those many.
How can it be that we still have so many questions? The frustrating reality is that we've been lied to. Not deliberately, it's no one's fault, but still, we were told the wrong story. Come As You Are reveals the true story behind female sexuality, uncovering the little-known science of what makes us tick and, more importantly, how and why. And it says, sex educator Dr. Emily Nagoski debunks the common sexual myths that are making women and some men feel inadequate between the sheets.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
I've only gotten to like the second chapter. I'm not an expert in it. I don't know what the full book will entail. But it's just written in this such like down to earth, like really just very easy to understand way. And it's really just, it's essentially normalizing that anything you feel is normal. However your sex drive is totally normal. And it really, the thing that I'm taking away from it so far is they have naturally, every single one of us have accelerators and brakes. And they're like, you know, sometimes really sensitive or sometimes not so sensitive. And if you have, like, say, a sensitive accelerator, that means that you're very easily stimulated by things. Genuinely, like, between sort of typical neurotypical male and neurotypical female, there is actually a slight difference, but there's actually a bigger difference like within the gender than there is with men and women. Yeah. And so if you've got sensitive accelerators, you're very quick to like turn on, you're very quick to just like want it. And then you also at the same time have your sensitive brakes, which are all the reasons your body and brain say, no, you shouldn't be doing this now. So they are important for things like, you know, if you're sitting at like a meeting at work, you don't want to suddenly be turned on, right? Yeah. So you have your sexual brakes there. It's really important. But sometimes just naturally, you're more sensitive to one than to the other. And it's just a really great way of understanding what makes you tick, and that you're just really, really like, it's super normal, like what you're feeling. Like, yes, I'm like exploring it myself because like I've definitely had moments where I feel I'm in my head too much, or I feel really overwhelmed by it. And there's been obviously past traumas and experiences which have maybe heightened my brake sensitivity. But it's also knowing that it's super, like, you can control it. Your biology is made up that way. You'll never suddenly totally get rid of a very high sensitive brake, but you can manage it and you can kind of understand what it is that is causing these breaks and why. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. But if you're just generally, even if you have like the perfect sex life with your partner, I think it's still worth reading because it's like just a really fascinating insight. And, you know, even as the partner of someone who is maybe struggling with some things, like it's really worth a read as well. So I'd recommend Come As You Are by Dr. Emily Nagoski.
That's so interesting. I'm very interested in that. And I ask if you've read far enough into it to know this or not, but do you know if it's written very like heteronormative, or is it quite inclusive of like...
It's really inclusive. It's very honest by saying it's for women who have either been born with female anatomy or have like fully functioning female anatomy. But it's for heteronormative, it's for anyone like gay, it's for straight, it's for it's just like, and they do lots of case studies, and they have like very diverse range of case studies and partners and people.
I know whenever I've like looked into this stuff in the past, it's always been like, when you, a woman, are in bits of...
Is that broccoli? He is going crazy.
He's scratching his neck but it's directly on his collar, so it's spinning his little bell round as he's scratching.
Oh,
I didn't realise he was in the room, and then I heard him snoring, and I was like, where the fuck is he? And he'd put himself on this, there's like a pillow over in the corner that he's found, and he sleeps on now. It's very sweet. Wow. But yeah, he just came over there to scratch his neck and hit his collar a bunch, like, and then now he's walked off.
He's like, anyway, just so you don't forget about me.
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah, whenever I've looked up these things before, it's always like, when you, a woman, have sex with a man, which is the normal and good thing, and I'm always just like, it obviously it puts me off reading it wholesale, because I'm like, I don't care about this shit. So yeah, just wondering if it was like something that the queer community could also enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And she makes that really explicit, like from the introduction. She's like, this is for, you know, all walks of life, and it's like there's really interesting things. She does go into sort of some male anatomy as well, just as a kind of understanding of how we are born in the womb. We all start off with female anatomy, but then there's a wash of testosterone that comes over at some point. I think it's like 6 weeks, and that will sort of tell you whether you become like male, like biologically male or biologically female. And it's essentially reiterating and sort of normalizing that we all start from the exact same place. So there's like, that's a bit I've read, but the whole book is just for anyone who is female. Yeah, it's really cool.
Anyone who's biologically female.
Yeah, it kind of, or if you have fully functioning female anatomy, I guess. But yeah, biologically female, it's definitely much more geared towards that. She's very open and honest and is saying there will be better books out here for transgender people. Like this is much, you know, more sort of solely along the kind of path of like fully functioning female genitalia, or if you've been born, you know, that. So yeah, so she doesn't like claim that it's for every single female in whatever stage of their life, but yeah, so
it's for it's for a certain set of females, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we can always look into some, to go along with this, I can always look into some reading that would be good for all women.
Absolutely.
Mine seems not as good. Yours was so fleshed out this week.
I know, it's a rarity. It might not happen again for a while.
You were like, it's time that I brought my A game to the serving suggestion.
I know. Oh, man.
My serving suggestion just comes from the fact that I've got my new bike, and as you well know, when the bike came, it came with a male seat, or a seat designed for male genitalia, should I say. And oh my god, it destroyed me.
Oh god,
it was
I know
horrible.
Exactly what the feeling's like. I've been there.
It was hot. It was like deep set muscle bruising. Oh my god, so sore. I don't see, when I look at the male bike seats or male genitalia bike seats, I'm like, how is this good for male genitalia either?
I know.
Like, how is it good for anyone?
It's just like almost like a thin, like horizontal spike. It's like
I think me and Hannah were talking about it, and we've sort of come to the conclusion. If there's any people with male genitalia listening, do let me know. But we've come to the conclusion that the long, like, pointy nose bit is just to rest things on top of.
Yeah.
But I still feel like the back of the seat is still hard as hell for, like, your butt. Like,
and your
bit
balls.
Between. Well, I imagine you can rest the balls on top of the bike. I think so. I don't know. I'm not very well versed in where they are on the body. I'm not sure at all. For a very long time, and I mean like an embarrassingly long time, I thought that the penis dangled down directly between the legs because that's where clits are. And I was like, well, clits are just the small penises, essentially. Sure. So I was like, surely if they grew, it would just grow down between your legs. Yeah. But I've recently found out that was wrong and incorrect.
It's because sometimes when they're drawn in cartoons, that's how they make them look.
Yeah, they draw them just down. Yeah,
down. Yeah.
Turns out they're actually like somewhere on the stomach. Who knows? Anyway, so I imagine Yeah. So I imagine they could probably rest it all on the bike, surely, as long as you didn't sit forward. I think that's why they are pointed, like, slanted a little bit.
They can, like, gravity can keep them.
Yeah. But I still don't understand how that's any good for, like, I've forgotten what the bit between your, like, front and back butts are.
It's not your perineum, is it?
I don't know the name of it, but we can call it that. We can call it that for now. That bit, how is that not painful for men as well? I don't get it. Like, that's where the pain was for me. It was like between my butt and my vagina, just the middle section. Oh my god. Yeah. So anyway, the serving suggestion is like an offshoot from this, because what I obviously did was I went and bought a female bike seat, or female genitalia bike seat, and it is just like so much better. I've actually yet to go out for a ride on it, but me and Hannah went for a long bike ride out to Cramond, and I was in so much pain. She was like, oh, do you want to just swap out and I'll take your bike seat and you can take my female genitalia bike seat? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was so much better, but I was already in so much pain that every time I had to stop and start the bike again, I was like, because I had to like, press down on it. Was so
like
sore.
Bruises on bruises.
Yeah, like... honestly. And then Hannah obviously ended up being really in pain from using my bike seat. So yeah, but the great thing about the new bike seat I have is it has like basically a little hole in the middle. So it's like really padded on the sides. The back part is really padded, and then the middle part, basically where my genitalia would come in contact with the seat, is now just like a little hole. So everything can just sort of sit nicely in a little sort of basket area instead of being squashed up against the seat.
I do love that whenever you say female genitalia seat, I just imagine this like seat with like just genitalia on it. Like making a statement on my bike.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
The sort of shoehorned in service suggestion from my bike seat is like, if there's something that you have that is like serving its purpose but not the best, like it's okay to invest a little bit of money to make it better. Like my example is like, I have a bike and it has a bike seat, it's serving the purpose, I can sit on it, but it makes me want to tear my own vagina off by the time I finished doing a bike ride. So I invested a little bit of money to get a bike seat that won't make me react that way. Yeah. It's the same for like a lot of things for women, even like a lot of things when you first buy them are specifically geared for men. Like if you buy a pair of gloves and the glove size is just like standard S or M, they're probably going to be too big for you because you've got female hands, or you know what I mean, you've smaller hands or whatever. And there's things like that for everything. For me, I'm left-handed, so a lot of things like for me are just like shit to begin with, because I have to either learn how to use my right hand for them, or I have to go out and learn how to turn things upside down or whatever.
That sounds, super. I've always wondered about left-handed people.
Oh my God.
Like, you guys have to struggle twice as much.
for everything. Even like I use like Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator. I use a lot of like programs for drawing, and I have to rebind all of the shortcuts on the keys because they're all bound to be used by a left hand, but I'm drawing with my left hand. So I need to rebind all the keys when I get something new. I've always used a mouse with my right hand, just but like it's not normal for me to click with that one. I'm not as dexterous with my right hand. But all mice are designed like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because right-handed people are very dexterous with a mouse, whereas I'm not. I'm janky as hell with a mouse. But
basically, So don't settle for anything less.
Yeah, don't settle for less. If something serves its purpose but it's not optimized for the way that you are, invest either time, effort, or money, just a little bit, into making it like the best for you that it can be.
Absolutely. That's a good advice. Something we should all remember. I've done this before when I've gone through things which are like, they're just like functional and okay, but it's not particularly comfortable, and I just like put up with it. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Not to harp on about periods and female genitalia and stuff too much, but I had that. I'm currently having that thing with my moon cup. I'm having it's there and it functions, but it's not great, as in like it doesn't function insanely well. It's definitely not the best one for me, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go on a journey. I think a journey of just trying them out once a month, just trying out a new one. They're not that cheap though, is the problem. But
I know I've done this a couple of times with them, and they I still haven't found my perfect one, but I also have gone and tried sort of other options, like sustainable options, which are working quite well as well. But oh my god, you
can tell me them off mic. I want sustainable options, but yeah, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
Before we go, can I tell you some kids' rate jokes?
Oh my god, yes.
They're my favourite things. Right. What did the lamp say to the cheese?
This situation is very weird already. I don't know. What?
I will break you, okay?
I mean, I would say that's very accurate. Lamps are definitely much more intimidating than cheese.
This one's all caps, so I'm going to shout it at you.
Great.
How did the chewing gum cross the road?
I don't know.
It was.
Oh, okay. It was beautiful, very philosophical.
This one this one doesn't seem like a joke. I don't know why it's here, but it's funny regardless. It just says, if you regret something, you didn't regret it soon enough.
What? Very true. I mean
last one. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt who?
Chickens galore through the keyhole.
I want a kid just for that, just to talk to me, like, and then I'd put it back in I don't know. I was like, in a drawer.
Oh no!
Don't do that.
Just rent one out and be like, you got any jokes?
Yeah. Hey kid, you got some jokes for me?
Yeah, tell me a fun joke.
Old timey agent from the 40s.
Hey kid, got any jokes? That's it, I think.
That's us for another week.
This is 19?
No, 17.
17, alright, whatever. I thought it was further than that. Whatever.
Don't be crazy.
I'm sorry. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Breakfast Food Podcast, respectively. You can also email us. I don't know why I laugh every time I talk about getting emails. breakfastfoodpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at cara.mckinley.art on Instagram, or mckinleyart something or other on Twitter.
Yay! I'm Burnt Out Bulbs on Twitter, and Annabelle, I'll just say Annabelle Logan Comedy on Instagram. You can find me pretty easily.
Yes.
Sweet.
That's it.
Bye. Have a lovely breakfast.
Oh my god, enjoy it so much.